Hello everybody and welcome to the Magical Learning Podcast for this week. The Magical Learning Podcast is a podcast that looks at important topics in business and life and looks at them with a lighthearted spin. Today is no different. We're talking about sustaining energy as an employee and an employer. Now these are two different things, but I know that sort of we're hitting the middle of the year. Christmas is about as far as it can be. So how do you sustain good energy throughout the rest of the year? It's a really fun conversation. We had a lot of laughs as always. So enjoy, and if you've been sharing it, please keep doing that. And as always, everybody, have a magical week. Hello everybody and welcome to the Magical Learning Podcast for this week. I hope you've enjoyed that we are now well and truly past episode 200 and we're chugging along, keeping a very sustained energy, I would say. So let's jump in and see how the team is going. I think we've got to start here with Al. Al, it's been a little while. How have you been going? What's been going on?
Going great, thanks, Jez. I've been getting some experience in the crane industry, which I'm finding a big contrast to me being the trainer at the RTO versus what happens out on site. They are two very different things, and I'm trying to work out where the middle ground is.
Well, that's amazing, Al. Al, we've also got to check in on the Pilates. Has there been anything going on there? Have you been doing any?
Again, yeah, this new work has taken up a lot of my time, but yeah, getting into the Pilates, and it kind of even ties in with our theme today. I've been even doing a meditation course, which my Pilates studio has introduced, which I'm very excited about.
That is amazing, Al. Always got new tales. Always exciting to hear from you. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Jess.
No problem. Let's throw to Danette. Danette, how's your week been? Let's jump into Danette now. Danette, how's your week been?
Well, it's been really good, Jez. Been recording season 2 of Adapt with Danette FM podcast as well. So this is my 4th podcast this week and the first one for ML, but the third, I've done 3 with Adapt, which has been full, and been home all week. And even more exciting, we got over an inch of rain last night. We desperately needed rain, so that was awesome. So no, great week. Thanks, Jez.
That's all right, and we recommend people go check out season 1 of the Adapt podcast, which I'll link below. But if you haven't checked that one out, Danette interviews people about adapting and things like that. Season 2's got a slightly different spin, so stay ready for that. But very exciting. That'll be coming soon. We'll keep people updated. Lakers, how are you going this week?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty good. It's been a mostly chill week, and we've got a bit of sunshine today, so I've been sitting in the sun all morning. Just been nice. And my friend Kai cast me in one of his films, so soon to be on the silver screen. So that'll be fun. It's like a puppet live action film. And apparently I'm doing a couple of songs as well for it. So, yeah, that should be an interesting and challenging new thing, but I'm excited for it. So, yeah.
So do we get your autograph now?
For money, John. Nothing comes for free.
Silly me. Okay.
Now, we should say that Lucas is going to leave now and start our own podcast about what it's like being a celebrity. Now, Lucas, I think we should also direct people. We have acted with one of Kai's films before. If you look at his last film, our house was used as one of the main sets. This is our second interaction with Kai here.
And he's also done the voice acting for my final project for uni. So it's a bit of a tit for tat on the creative project front, but I like it.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thanks for that, Lakers. Graham, how are you going this week?
If only I could unmute myself. And I know there are some people out there thinking, if only he could not, but it's too late. I'm good, Jez. Excited. It's probably not the right word about it being the last day of autumn and winter officially kicking in tomorrow. So what most people would say. And I think they'd be pretty right on there. It's been a good week otherwise. Thank you.
That's all right, Graham. I like that you're kind of giving us a sort of early morning AM kind of feel, like slow. I kind of feel like I'm about to listen to some soothing jazz.
I'm not sure whether I should take that. Wait a minute, that's an insult. No, that's my normal speech, as you would know. So I just thought it'd be a great segue into today's topic of conversation when we get there.
Beautiful. Well, I love it. Great to have you on as well, Graham. Let's throw to John. John, how are you going this week?
Good, Jess. Another great week, upright and breathing. So I figure that's a great start to it all. But no, just ticking along. Nothing too exciting to report.
Fair enough. Well, we're excited to have you on today to talk about sustaining energy as an employee and employer. Now, I want to split this into two different sections because I feel like they probably are two different things. And I mean, I don't have that much experience as being an employer, so I'm excited to hear people's sort of what that experience is like. But I know that everybody here has been an employee, so we can at least give some ideas there. But I just thought today I wanted to talk about this because we're not near any significant holidays, and so people might be, where sometimes that can be a sort of goal that you might be heading towards, or, just working till Christmas and then you're ready to take that break off. For people, if your energy levels are a bit sort of all over the shop, what are some good ways to kind of look into this? But I thought, what's the best way to start this than to actually look at why do we expect 100% all the time sometimes, or is that a reasonable expectation, and why can't we be like that? So I might start with you here, Danette. What gets in the way of people being able to be at 100% energy all the time?
So there's a number of factors, Des, and I think I'm not going to say them all because I know there's a number of people who want to share in the audience. One big one that definitely lowers people's energy is poor sleep or lack of sleep. So sleep is sort of what I see as the foundation for good energy, and without it, we tend to wake up, we're fuzzy-brained. It's very hard to get to 100% when you're feeling pretty crap. The other thing I think is just where we wake up in terms of our mindset. I loved John's intro where he talked about, he's upright, so that's a good day. And I think sometimes people wake up and they go, oh, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. But I remember hearing a Tony Robbins story where he asked all these really successful CEOs who were successful, and only one hand went up in the room. And he was like, whoa. And so he asked some of the ones that didn't put their hand up, why don't you think you're successful? And they're like, oh, I earn 300 million. I'll feel successful when I earn 350 mil. And so there were all these, I'm not quite there yet. And then he went to the person who put his hand up and he said, so tell me what your definition of success is. And the guy said, every day above ground is a successful day. And I really like that definition because it's a reminder that it is actually a privilege to wake up. And that certainly helps my energy stay reasonably high during the day as well. Right, Preston Des.
I love that, and I like the idea that someone who's earning 300 million is like, you know what I need is just 50 extra million and I'll be totally fine. That's the difference. I also have to agree with this sleep one. I used to be someone who didn't get that much good sleep, and I used to think, well, it's probably just for other people, this sleep tip, not for me. I think I can handle it. And then I realized I am everybody else, so I do need good sleep. It's a good lesson for us all. Leggers, what gets in the way of people being able to be at 100% energy all the time?
Well, I think something that's important to note is that we are not robots, and we are living organisms, and literally no organism is at 100% all the time. Think of trees in autumn, they sort of close up shop for the winter, and then they come back in spring when it's times are better for the tree. And, same with bears, same with everything. And you even think about Usain Bolt, he can go at 100% really well, but he can only do that for a short amount of time. And then he needs to rest and recover before he can go at a 100% again. So I think though that's a, physical metaphor, the same is also said for sustained mental effort. Speaking from experience, the last semester of my university was me going at essentially the 100% or as close to for, 14 weeks, no break. And by the end of that, my body responded, telling me that I needed to take a break. So eventually your body will tell you if you've been overdoing it. It will shut down and then you will have to slow down anyway. So yeah, I think just remember you're just a little being, you need rest too. We're not robots. You have AI for that, So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks for that, Leggers. Great insight and great observation about Usain Bolt. Good point. I love it. Alan, I'll throw it to you. What gets in the way of people being able to be at 100% all the time?
Yeah, I love what Leg is saying about, we're not robots. I think it's sometimes we have the expectation that we can do a certain amount in the day, and we pick the 10% best of everybody else and we think we should be that, versus life gets in the way. Like, I know as a parent, I can guarantee there's going to be at least one child who needs something from me every day. There will be days when I get sick and I need to go to the doctor. There's always something coming up for us. And it's around being kind to ourselves, like Lega says, that, I think it was that sweet little being, take care of us.
Yeah, amazing, Al. And that's a good point to almost factor in things that'll go wrong so that it gives you more energy for those things. Because sometimes if you're not prepared for them mentally, it can really derail you. So I think that's a good hint as well. Amazing. Well, let's throw to Graham. Graham, what gets in the way of people being able to be at 100% energy all the time?
It's a great question, Jez, and I had planned to write down a long list of things, and then I just didn't have the energy for it. So, but if I can just loop back on a couple of the other things that we shared earlier, because that's going to require less energy, every day. But I do the Danette's comment about, which sort of ripped back off John's comment about every day above ground is a good day, unless you're an earthworm, in which case, maybe not. As Lega said, life is one of the things that gets in the way. Bad coffee, I think, is another thing that can get in the way of us being 100%. And if I could, can I be serious? No, it's Friday. I'd probably just go back to awareness more than anything. If you want to have more energy, you first need to be aware that your energy isn't where you want it to be. And then maybe the flip side of the awareness is also asking the question, why? Is there an imperative that resonates with you personally in terms of your values and what's important to you that requires you to have more energy, or is it your boss demanding that you have more energy? Because those two things are entirely different. And spare a thought, folks, for the earthworms who don't get to drink coffee.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, Graham. I haven't thought about our earthworm listeners that much, to be honest, so I'm glad that you've brought them into the conversation.
Wriggle strong. Edit that out.
I'm not going to edit that out. I'm going to highlight that section for the social media part, I think. No, that was awesome, though. Thank you very much, Graham, for that one. Great suggestions. Let's go to John. John, what gets in the way of people being able to be at 100% energy all the time?
So, Jez, I don't disagree with anything that anyone said, and I think the question's sort of alluding to the fact that we should be 100% energy all the time, and I don't believe we can. And I think Lega's analogy of Usain Bolt, he's at 100% for 9 and a bit seconds. I don't think anyone can be on all the time. They've got to have their downtime, and whether that be, they've got to go and then meditate or sleep or whatever, and that's just a part of life. Life has its days where the sun shines and other days where it's cloudy, and I think life emulates that there are days where we're always up and going, and there are days where we're not going to have that. So, just understand that life gets in the way of being 100%.
100%. Actually, my note was basically on a similar idea, I think, John, which is just that idea of like a give and take in life. Like everything, if you're going to spend energy one way, you're going to have to spend some time recovering that energy at a different point, and vice versa. If you spend a lot of time recovery, then you will have that energy. Yeah,
and I think, the seasons or the moon, the fact that we have sun and then the moon, or night and day, everything's gravitated towards a downside or a quiet time as well as a affluent time.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I think that frames up our next question really well. So I'm going to stick with you here, John, for question number 2, which is, what tips do you have for employees who want to better manage their energy? We know we can't be at 100% all the time. So do you have any tips?
Where are you putting your focus? So what are you actually focusing on? Do you have a focus, or is it just I'm, taking the next fire that comes along and I've got to deal with that next fire? Or do you have a focus, a goal, vision for where you want to go, not just in terms of a business and a business goal over the next 12 months, I'm going to achieve this, this and this, but even potentially every day, what am I going to do every day? And if you don't have a focus, then where is your energy going? But it's going to a lot of other things. And we're constantly interrupted So whether it's by emails, text messages, Teams calls, people coming to your desk, whatever, and that change of focus takes a bit of time to get back into what you're doing. So, yeah, where are you putting your focus? Do you actually know?
And, John, actually, I've seen a good solution to this because, I certainly was someone that in an office environment, I can be easily distracted. I've seen people wear these little signs on their back that says, please do not distract me as I am extremely easily distractible and will chat to you.
Right. I've seen those signs on people's backs, but they usually say, kick me.
Well, I mean, either or works, either...
Sure.
either way. Amazing. Well, thanks for that, John. Let's throw to Graham. Graham, what tips do you have for employees who want to better manage their energy?
Sorry, the sign on the back thing has just completely thrown me. I like John's thing about where is your focus? What are you focusing on? If we go down to sort of quantum physics / spirituality space where we could accept that energy is unlimited, cannot be destroyed, it just changes form. What does that mean for us as human beings? I've absolutely no idea. I just thought I'd throw that in. But that's something for everybody listening and or watching to ponder over the weekend, and hopefully it gives you a little bit more energy. Look, I just echo John's comment. I think it really comes back to what are you focusing on and why. And there's some self-awareness built into that. Again, that as we become more aware that we're spending our time and energy focusing on something that isn't necessarily relevant or helpful or useful, and possibly just drains us. Another thing, I guess, in terms of better manage their energies, who are you hanging around? So are you spending more of your time with energy vampires who are just draining your energy? And they can be people, they can be places like environments. I don't know if they can be pets, I'm not sure. I might have a pet earthworm. I'm going to go for a dig in the garden, see how that works. So what are you focusing on and who are you spending your time with?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point as well. I think environments are such a good thing. I mean, I've seen a lot of things recently about if you're struggling with work and you're doing work at home, just moving to a different room and doing your work can be something that can just add a bit of novelty and mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think even just walk 3 doors down or 3 apartments down, knock on the door and just say, hey, can I borrow your lounge room for 15 minutes to do some work? It's going to change someone's energy.
Exactly. Well, you can create energy in other people there. It's adding novelty. I like it. And if anybody does try that, please let us know how it went. You can jump on Spotify. We've got a little question section, so interested. Yeah. Awesome. Let's throw to Al now. Al, what tips do you have for employees who want to better manage their energy?
In one word, it's stop. Kind of ties in with what John was saying around, so often I've heard, what is my focus? Often I'm too busy to find that focus because I'm too busy doing the things every day. And that kind of leads me to what Graham just said about do something different. I'm kind of excited to think what would happen if I knocked on the house 3 doors down and said g'day. I might meet a new friend.
Well, that's it. And I mean, based on the theme of this episode, you may meet an earthworm. It seems like.
Renee, if you're listening to this after the fact and you have to go and bail Alan out, I apologise.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for that, Al. We appreciate that as well. Let's throw to Leggers. Leggers, what tips do you have for employees who want to better manage their energy?
I think a big one is taking breaks. So I mean that both in like regular breaks throughout the day. My favorite spot is like a chair that's in the sun just outside. If you're watching the video, but just being outside away from my desk. My house isn't particularly big, so it's like either my main room or my bedroom. And it's like, it's way better to be outside, even go for a little walk. And then in the bigger thing, take your holidays and vacation days and your sick days, because they're there for you to use them, and it is your right to use them. So if your boss is not, letting you take certain vacation days, it is your right, and you should go to HR about that, because again, you're not a robot. Everyone needs a break, and I'm sure your boss is able to take breaks. And also with that, I would also say set stronger boundaries with your workplace in terms of time away from your emails and being able to not respond until you're back in the office. as much as you can. I know some workplaces, obviously, this would be much harder, but you won't get more time off unless you set those boundaries. If you're feeling like you're inundated with work all the time, but you're not being paid to work 24 hours a day, don't, like work your 8 hours or whatever it is and like spend your life doing other things outside of work when you can. So yeah, those are my tips. Take a break.
Absolutely. I think that's always a good one. I worked with someone who had a break alarm set on their phone. So I think it was every hour and 10 minutes or something. They'd just take a little 10-minute break. And I thought that was a pretty good option. So yeah, let's go to Danette. Danette, what tips do you have for employees who want to better manage their energy?
So I was going to talk about the boundaries too. So Liga's got that one here, which is totally agree. It's really, really important. The other one is work with your body clock. So some people will be morning people. For example, if I'm writing a course, I'm usually up about 4 o'clock in the morning and I've written it by 8:30 because that's when my brain's on fire. But if you ask me to do that at 4 p.m, can't do it. It's just not like it'll take 3 or 4 times longer. So actually learning what your body clock is for you and trying to do the important work sort of when your body and your brain are on fire. I think that helps with energy as well. And the one thing I'd add is, what you're doing at work, try to find some joy in it, because joy obviously gives us energy, or even just focusing on, who is this helping or serving, because that can also sort of take it away from, to actually, by doing this, I'm helping someone to learn, or I'm helping someone to find a house or something like that. So I think also focus on what are the benefits, not just to you, but to others, can also spark a bit of energy as well. Great question, Jess.
Yeah, absolutely. And great answer there as well. I think part for me, one of the things that I think about is like, you don't want work to take all your energy, because then you've got none for the people that you actually sort of want to hang out with. It's sometimes, obviously that can be a tricky balance and you don't always have a say, but I have noticed that if I have a really tough work day, I have no energy for hanging out with people that I do want to hang out with. So that has a knock-on effect in my life. But I did want to say, sometimes in workplaces, they can try and force ways of relaxing in a weird way. So I know this is a more millennial type thing, but you might go into an office that has beanbags or ping pong or something like that. If you don't relax that way, don't feel like that, like you have to be restricted to, if you're taking a break at work, you have to be restricted to that area. You can go out and take fresh air, maybe grab a coffee, give yourself that time. There's no specific way to relax. If you like watching earthworms to relax, then you should do that. Don't be told what relaxing is for you. It can be the most random thing possible. It could be trying to make friends with a local animal that sort of is wandering the streets. I don't recommend that for dangerous animals, but if there's a little kitten, that we've had one recently, that's why this has sparked for me. Weird stray kittens come around, and so we've been trying to befriend that. That has been very relaxing to me personally, so I recommend that to people. Let's go to question number 3. Now, this is one I don't really have a lot of experience in, so I'm going to hand it over to people that do, but what tips would you give to employers who want to better manage their energy? So I might start with you, Jeanette.
So I think a lot of, in fact, pretty much everything we talked about with the employees would work. And I think this goes to both employees and employers, but do what you're good at. So what gives you joy? Because I think then it makes it easy, because there's not really as much work. Whereas if you're doing majority stuff you don't enjoy, that tends to drain your energy pretty quickly as well. So look at where you can value add, and as an employer, look at, is there someone in the team we can delegate to? Can we outsource it? And I like Dale's bit about stop. Maybe sometimes there's stuff we're doing that we probably shouldn't be doing at all as an organisation or as an employer. So, they're my tips.
Absolutely. That's some great tips there. Thanks for that, Danette. Legas, I'm going to go to you. What tips would you give to employers who want to manage their energy better?
So I really have a very similar answer to Danette here. Basically, I was just saying, like, if you're doing too much as an employer, you have the ability to delegate or to hire someone new or to promote someone to take on more responsibility. Like, Whereas if you're an employee, you may probably don't have that opportunity, but that actually gives you a certain level of ease if you're an employer to be able to be more conscious of your energy. And same with what Danette said about like, what are we doing? Is it the right thing to be doing, or is it just what we've always done? And could we be doing this in a more efficient manner that would save the team's energy and all of that? So I think, yeah, really just echoing Danette's answer for this one, but I have the same points.
Amazing. Well, it's always good to reinforce those, tried and tested. Thanks for that, Lucas. Let's go to Alan. Alan, what tips would you give to employers who want to better manage their energy?
Taking off what Danette was saying, which has slipped my mind now, which led to modelling. As the employer, if we're telling everyone else, knock off at 5 o'clock, look after yourselves, go home on time, and we're staying back till 10 o'clock at night, no one else is going to feel comfortable to do the same. That's what it was Danette said, is do things for other people. We may not want to take the time off for ourselves, but model that for everybody else. Demonstrate that self-care for the rest of the team.
Yeah, that's a great point, Al. I love that. It's such a good point that, sometimes if people are working these extra long hours, it can be sort of, you don't know how comfortable you are in these sort of situations. So I love that. Thank you for that, Alan. Let's go to Graham. Graham, what tips would you give to employers who want to better manage their energy?
Become an employee, do that. I think, go back to Danette's comment earlier about joy. And if I can just reference a model we learnt from Robin Sharma years ago, the idea of joy as your GPS. So Robin talks about being a lot more mindful about the people you spend time with, the places that you spend time in, and the pursuits that you spend time on. So if you're a business owner or an employer, part of that is I guess, from time to time, checking back in again with the why question. Why are you running the business that you're running? Because if that still doesn't resonate with you, that's going to have a huge impact on your energy. If you are, if you're working in a business or running a business that inspires and motivates you, then it's a lot easier to have energy around that. The other thing I was going to say is, if they want to manage their energy better, one of the things that, in the context of employers, I sort of keep going back to business owners because that's a lot more relevant to me. But be okay with failure, because that's one of the other things that can drag us down as we try something, it doesn't work, and then that just becomes like a millstone around it. And part of the being okay with failure, which goes back to Alan's point about telling all of your staff to just work sensible hours and then have breaks, but you're all working 16-hour days, is being okay with admitting that working 16 hours a day isn't sustainable. And it's that sort of vulnerability thing where it's okay for you to actually be human. And a couple of other people, I think, in the group have already mentioned it. On a level, it doesn't matter whether you're an employee, an employer, or you're retired, or you don't work. Managing energy on a human level is exactly the same all the way through.
Yeah, amazing.
And sorry, just one last tip if I can.
Yeah.
This also, I think this is for employers and employees, and anybody else who categorises themselves as human on some level. Tomorrow, being the 1st of June, is not only the first of winter, but I have just learned that it has also been officially labelled or tagged as International Hug An Earthworm Day. You heard it first.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, this is very exciting because we've never actually launched an official international day on the Magical Learning podcast before. So Hug an Earthworm Day, June 1st.
And I'm done.
Amazing. Well, there we go. I never thought we'd launch an international day, but we've done it. This is us sort of helping other people manage their energy better by hugging earthworms and hopefully grabbing some energy there.
Sorry, there's just one last thing there. Seriously, I'm done. But yeah, just a message to all the fisher persons out there, hugging before impaling on a hook, no. To saying no.
Exactly. All right, well, let's jump to John. John, what tips would you give to employers who want to better manage their energy?
I don't think I can improve on a lot of what people have said, but yeah, are you looking after yourself is the big thing. If you're going to be the boss and you're going to drive this business or this company forward, are you in a position to be able to do that? Because if you don't look after yourself, it all turns to custard. And what are the $10 jobs that you can delegate? And I know small businesses makes it very difficult because you can't afford to do certain things. But yeah, is there some stuff that you can actually, the smaller jobs that you don't enjoy or that aren't returning enough if you go and do them, is there a way that you can delegate those out to someone else to do them so that that frees up your time to focus on whatever it is that you prioritize for the business? And if you're going to do a prioritization of what's important for you and for the business to focus on, if you prioritize everything as the number one, then nothing's a priority. So you've got to be realistic about what is important and what's secondary and third and fourth and fifth. So just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really good point. You can't have everything be the urgent, that's how you get burnt out. So that's a great observation there, John. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of just throw my thing in there, which is that I saw something the other day that was about what does consistency actually look like? And it doesn't have to look like any one thing. It can be doing every other day. That can look like consistency. Doing something every day, that can look like consistency. Doing something, 2 days in a row and then maybe having 3 days off and then having 2 days on, that's consistency. And even once a week can be consistency depending on what the thing is. So don't be afraid if you're not hitting every day. That doesn't have to be what consistency looks like if you are, trying to be more consistent. Let's jump into some final thoughts. This has been an amazing conversation. I've taken down a lot of notes here, and I feel like there's a lot of good things for businesses and people that are working to sort of take on. But I'll start with you here, John. Any final thoughts on today's conversation and sort of, sustaining energy?
Yeah, look, don't get to the point where a major tragedy happens or something, and suddenly you get the perspective that every day above ground is a good day. The Jeremy Renners of the world who have we look at their life and go, fantastic movie star, blah, 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 and he has a snowmobile accident, and suddenly I don't know him personally, but, from what I've read, he's trying to focus that every day above ground is a good day. We don't need to go to that extreme to understand that, a good day is any day that you have energy, and maybe even take from the Spanish and have a siesta occasionally. Nothing wrong with that too, to enable to rejuvenate yourself.
Actually, I've got a great tip for that, John. That's a really good tip. One of my friends was doing regular naps, and what he was doing was he was saying he was scheduling in an important business call, and then he'd just take the 2 hours off.
I don't know whether that's a great thing to lie to your employer and tell them that you're doing that, but the siesta part, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look, I mean, he never got caught, but, that's a good point. Do that maybe if you're extremely desperate. Let's go to Graham. Graham, any final thoughts on sustaining energy as an employee and an employer and today's conversation?
I wonder whether your friend's important business call was just having an internal dialogue with himself, which may have been important to him. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of great tips about how we manage our energy at a personal level. For me, I think probably the most important message out of all of this is just remembering that the idea of being 100% all the time is nonsense. Let's start there. Cut ourselves some slack.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that has been a really good message out of today. So yeah, thank you for that one, Graham. That's a good one. Alan, I'll go to you. Any final thoughts on sustaining energy as an employee or an employer, or just today's conversation?
The big standout for me is to stop treating myself like a robot and maybe explore what it could be like to be an earthworm.
Well, I think that that's a great takeaway, Al. I hope a lot of our audience is thinking that as well. So thank you for that. Which maybe we should have done an episode on sustaining energy as an earthworm. You don't have to be at 100% every day chewing through the dirt. It's okay to rest. Let's go to Leggers. Leggers, any final thoughts on sustaining energy as an employee and an employer, or today's conversation?
I feel like obviously we've come up with a lot of good things, a lot of good tips. But yeah, I just think you're just a little being, and no one can sustain 100% forever. And get your sleep, take your breaks. And also I had this thought just before, but also especially if you're a woman, your hormone cycle is the length of your period. And so for a man, it's different. It's 24 hours. So a woman's energy will also change throughout her cycle. So it's important to especially be kind to yourself when you have lower energy or you're feeling not very good, because that's just, one of life's things, and it's just going to keep throwing it at you. So be kind to yourself during that period as well.
Yeah, great point, Ligas. And I think that that's a great one as well because, you don't know where you are at any point. And I think that's also a broad point for everybody. Like, you don't know where your hormones are at any point for anybody. So you should be really kind to yourself and expect these bumpy roads occasionally. And that's just part of it. So great insight there, Ligas. Let's go to Danette. Danette, any final thoughts on sustaining energy as an employee and employer or today's conversation?
So, we didn't really touch on things like hydration and fuel, like our fuel and stuff like that. And also our breath. Like, they're areas that can either help us or lower our energy. So that whole bit about awareness, I think, can be really helpful. Just notice what gives you energy, what doesn't. I have to come back to the naps because that friend of yours that had the 2-hour business meeting with themselves, actually what we know is that our brain does all the heavy lifting when we're sleeping, we're napping, we're going for walks, etc. So while it might be counterintuitive to much of society who frowns on taking breaks, etc., it's actually where your brain does all the great things. I'd be curious if your friend came up with some really good insights during that time, because it's actually a really healthy way. So I had naps on my thing. And the other thing I just have to say is every week when we do these podcasts, I laugh so hard and my energy from start to end is, like at the end, is always higher just by the shared laughter and connection. And so I think they are also things to consider in terms of how to keep your energy in a really lovely, healthy way. Great topic, Tess. Thank you. And thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I love doing these. I always have such a blast. And I think there's only really, I want to thank everybody who's been listening and sharing and stuff. Our numbers are always going up, so we really appreciate that. I just think that the only way that we can end this is singing the official Earthworm Hug Day song for tomorrow, which is June 1. If you're listening to this, this was last week's. Next year, put it in your calendar, and it's Happy Earthworm to you.
Happy Earthworm to you.
Happy Earthworm to you.
So everybody, thank you all. And
We've lost
and,
Graham.
and yes, Graham's left the chat. He's left the conversation.
Are we done?
I think we are.
I feel you've just made a complete mockery of what was a very, very serious moment. Thank you.
Well, they're in.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And as always, everybody, have a magical week.